Most working professionals have a group insurance policy provided by the employers and nothing else. Relying only on your company's health insurance policy is like living with one kidney. You may lead a normal life and there will be absolutely no problem in day to day functioning for years together, but there's definitely a huge risk looming. At least the person with one functioning kidney knows the inherent risks involved and takes necessary precautions. On the other hand, I had absolutely no clue about the risk associated with just relying on my company's health insurance policy. To top it up, when I realized how cheap it is to buy a personal health insurance policy, I felt like, hey guys, my name is Jay and welcome to the 6th episode of Money Matters. If you're new to the channel, here we talk about basic concepts related to personal finance and interesting ways to think about money. If this topic resonates with you, consider subscribing to my channel. Today we'll talk about why relying solely on my company's health insurance policy was a big mistake. Let's dive right in. First, let's start with what is health insurance and why it is important. Now, in a health insurance policy, the cost of the medical expenses of the insured person is paid by the insurance company in exchange for a regular premium payment made by the policyholder to the insurance company. Now, these expenses may include hospitalization, pre-hospitalization, post-hospitalization, daycare expenses, etc. based on the policy term. And with the cashless facility, your bill is directly settled between the insurance company and the hospital. Now, there are essentially two broad categories of health insurance. One is group insurance. Group insurance is usually provided by an employer to its employees. A personal health insurance, as the name suggests, is purchased by an individual to cover himself or herself and their family dependents. So there are two types of personal health insurance. One is an individual and the second one is a family floater plan. In the individual, the self is covered, and in the family floater plan, self plus dependents are covered. Now, one of my friends was saying, Jay, I'm perfectly fit. I do yoga and CrossFit regularly. I eat very healthy. My family does not have any history of any critical illnesses, so I don't think so I need a health insurance right now. In cricket, players usually wear a guard to protect their groin area. Have you ever heard Sachin Tendulkar say that I'm the best player in the history of cricket? I don't need this guard. Boost is the secret of my energy. So essentially, my friend saying that I'm perfectly fit and I exercise daily, hence I don't need the health insurance, is as absurd as Sachin Tendulkar saying that I don't need any protective gear because I have hours and hours of practice and I'm the best player in the game. Hope I've made my point clear that this is a wrong way to think about health insurance, and it is extremely important to have a health insurance policy. Now, one of my mentors asked me that, Jay, do you have a health insurance policy? I was like, absolutely. Yeah, obviously I have my company health insurance policy. It's a pretty comprehensive policy. I have a 3 lakh rupee cover. It covers my dependents like my parents and my spouse, and the insurance company also has a very good network of cashless hospitals. Now, recently I visited a close relative who had just undergone an angioplasty surgery in a hospital in Mumbai, and I was out of breath to see the hospitalization expenses. Now, fortunately, I have never got admitted to a hospital, and so have my parents, at least in the last 30 years. So earlier, I had no benchmark to gauge whether this 3 lakh rupee cover which my company was giving me was enough or not. This visit to the hospital was like an eye opener and the first indication that just relying on the company's health insurance policy is not enough. On doing a little research, I found that there are certain disadvantages of a group insurance policy. Let's see what those are. Point number one is the cover may not be enough. My personal cover is 3 lakh rupees and I believe that 3 lakh rupees cover is not enough. The angioplasty expenses of my relative added up to 3.5 to 4 lakh rupees. Now, most employers offer a cover of 3 to 5 lakh rupees. This amount may cover up to 70% of the hospitalization occurrences that may happen, but for the rest of them, all of the expenses will come out of my own pocket. Point number two is sub-limit for dependents. Some of the policies have a lower limit for the dependents. For example, I may have a health cover of 3 lakh for myself, and for my dependents like my parents, the health cover would only be for 1 lakh rupees. Now, this amount we know is not enough for the elderly. Point number three is multiple claims in a year. For example, if I undergo a medical procedure and I exhaust the entire 3 lakh rupee cover, my parents or my dependents would have absolutely no coverage for the entire rest of the year. Now, God forbid, if anything were to happen to them, we would have to bear the entire expenses from our own pocket. These are some top level limitations with a group insurance policy. It's not that group insurance policy only has limitations, it has some great benefits also. So let's quickly discuss the benefits of a group insurance policy. Number one is no waiting period for pre-existing diseases. This is one of the biggest benefits of a group insurance policy. All pre-existing diseases for me and my dependents are covered from day one. Usually in a personal health insurance policy, there's a waiting period of 2 to 5 years for pre-existing conditions. These are usually waived off in a corporate health plan. Point number 2 is dependent cover. Now your dependents like your spouse, parents or children may be covered in your health insurance policy. This depends on employer to employer. In my case, my parents are covered up to 3 lakh rupees as a part of my group health insurance policy. Point number 3 is no medical checkup. The policy is issued without undergoing a pre-medical screening even for senior citizens. Point number 4 is premium is paid by the employer. Now in my personal case, I don't have to pay for anything for my group insurance policy. It is paid for by my employer. Now this may not be essentially true for all companies. Some companies ask their employees to pay a part of the premium. But generally, group insurance policies are much cheaper than market rates. So essentially the employees are getting it either free or they are getting it at very cheap rates. Point number 5 is rider options. In this, there are add-ons like maternity benefits, IVF, organ donation, etc., which the employer may be providing in the health insurance policy, or it may be given as an option for employees to purchase it over and above their group health insurance policy. There is no doubt that group insurance has great benefits. If your company is not providing you a group health insurance, then you don't even have that single well-functioning kidney. So you absolutely need to consider getting a personal health insurance ASAP. But do you know what? All these benefits are relevant when I have a job. What happens if I lose my job, or if I want to take a sabbatical, or if I want to start something by myself? So let's play this scenario out and think about what happens when I lose my job. Number 1, loss of health cover. As soon as I lose my job, I even lose my company health cover. Now it may take me 1, 2 or probably even 6 months to find a new job, and in that time frame, if any medical emergency were to befall on me or my dependents, then it would be a huge financial as well as an emotional pressure on me. Now in all this pressure, I have to take care of the medical bills, I even have to take care of fixed expenses, and over and above that, I have to find a new job. Now point number 2 is loss of income. Now if I don't have a steady flow of income, I would focus on avoiding expenditures. Would I want to pay a premium for insurance in this scenario? Tough to answer. Okay, I'll be honest with you. Genuinely, I believe that I'm a decently smart guy, and there wouldn't be a scenario when someone would throw me unexpectedly out of my job, or I would be unable to find a job for a very long time. But guess what? There's one word which I learned last year, and it's called a pandemic. For all I know, there can be another pandemic happening in the future. I may lose my job for reasons which have got nothing to do with my skill set. Over and above that, there would be a huge health hazard looming. So I would be sitting on my hands with no income, no health cover, perfect recipe for disaster. But you know what? I was thinking to myself that pandemic is once in a lifetime kind of an event, a black swan event, right? And even if such an event occurs and if I happen to lose my job, what is the big deal in purchasing a personal health insurance policy which comes for 10 or 20,000? If I lose my job, or if I'm starting up, or if I take a sabbatical, etc., I'll purchase a health insurance for 10 or 20,000. I've got it all figured. If you think that way, Merry Christmas! The whole world thinks that way. Now, let's break down the inherent flaw in the thought or the question that what if I purchase my personal health insurance later? There are few scenarios where this thinking falls flat. Number 1 is pre-existing conditions. Now, if I purchase my personal health insurance policy today, in most probabilities, most insurance companies have a 3 to 5 year waiting period for pre-existing conditions. And in all probability, if I were to be hospitalized in these 3 to 5 years, it will be mostly for these exact conditions for which I am not covered. So, buying a personal health insurance cover earlier ensures that your pre-existing conditions are covered sooner. Point number 2 is critical illness. As per the statistics shared by the World Health Organization, 1 in 3 people will get a cancer in their lifetime. This statistic alone should shake us into thinking about getting a personal health insurance. And the truth is that there are hundreds of other critical diseases on the rise. Now let's say unfortunately I develop a critical illness like cancer and I'm only relying on my company health insurance. Again, perfect recipe for disaster. the cost of treatment is so high that it won't get covered in 3 lakhs or even 5 lakhs. For argument's sake, let's say my company coverage is unlimited. Now, after getting a critical illness like cancer, there may be a scenario where I have to leave my job or take a break for some time. Now, we discussed that as soon as I leave my job, I lose my health cover. Now, to top it all, it is next to impossible to get a personal health insurance after you have been diagnosed with a critical illness. And even if one to find one, the premium of that will be exorbitant. On the flip side, let's say if I have a personal insurance today and in the future years I develop a critical illness, number one, it acts as a supplement to my group insurance policy. So even if my group insurance policy is for 3 to 5 lakhs, my personal health insurance cover acts as a supplement over and above that. Second is I'll have lifelong coverage under my personal health insurance policy, which is if I keep renewing and paying the premium of my policy every year, I'll be covered for lifelong. This is one of the most crucial benefits of having a personal life insurance policy. Now you may argue that Jay, these are corner cases and I hardly know anyone who has got a critical illness or who has had to leave their job because of a critical illness. That brings us to point number 3, which is age and premium. Let's say all goes well, I don't get any critical illness and I neither lose my job. But obviously I have to leave my job once I retire. Most companies don't offer health cover after retirement. And guess what? Most insurance companies also deny giving a personal health insurance, and even if they give a cover, it would be at an exorbitant premium and it would not make sense getting anyone. If you continue to having a personal health insurance, it comes with a lifelong renewal. The premium may increase by a small margin every few years, but it will definitely cover you even after retirement. Now, after doing all the research, I decided to take the effort and buy a personal health insurance policy for myself, and I did it only last year. Now, let me share the cost of my individual health insurance policy. I got a personal health insurance policy which has a 5 lakh cover, and it is an individual policy which is not a family floater plan. Now, the premium of my policy is somewhere around 8,400 rupees per annum. If I take it for 2 years, then I get a 10% discount. That makes it somewhere around 7,550. As per section 80D, we can claim the premium that we pay for medical insurance as tax benefit. So since my tax slab is 30%, I get a tax benefit of around 2,300 rupees. So the effective price which I pay for my health insurance every year is only 5,000 rupees. That comes to around 400 rupees per month. This is cheaper than ordering a meal on Swiggy. I was not kidding when I felt like. Full disclosure, until last year I was just being penny wise pound foolish. Now on a closing note, I want to leave you with one thought. Why do we earn money? According to me, money essentially helps us with 3 things. 1, to buy new experiences. Second is to save time. Here is a video of how I do it effectively and think about it. Third, and the most importantly, is to buy peace of mind. Peace of mind is priceless, and there is no better way of buying peace of mind through a personal health insurance policy. And that too if the policy is coming cheaper than a large pizza. Another way of buying peace of mind is through a life insurance. You can check out this video where I talk about the importance of life insurance and what type of insurance works best. In the next video, we'll consider the key pointers to be considered before purchasing a health insurance policy. This aspect can be a fairly complicated aspect, and I'll try and break it down in simpler terms. Till then, take real good care of yourself and keep smiling.